he, she, theys, and thems. Welcome to the Playbook Diaries podcast, where every play has a story.
Mhm.
I am point five of your host, Jarden.
And I am the other point five, your host, Nicole. And we have a very, very special treat for everyone, like we always do. But first and foremost, what's up?
What's up? What's up? We're in the heat of college football playoffs. It's getting
Facts.
very treacherous, as we mentioned. The SEC is going crazy. The Big 12 is going crazy. The other conferences really don't matter. They're not a factor right now.
Well, ACC matters because they have a couple of people who are in the top 12.
But
Don't do that.
but the ACC, they're not going toe to toe with nobody. You know,
Well,
they're not really. It's not really like a good fight.
the SEC is the
You got
conference
the
where
clear
they're
favorites. You got the clear
beating people
favorites.
up. They're beating each other up like
They're
ridiculous.
beating each other up.
They're
Yes,
literally beating.
yes.
So while we're even talking about that, let's go over some of the notable games of this past weekend, which was crazy. Kansas, unranked Kansas, had beat BYU 17-13. So it'll be very, very interesting where BYU falls into the rankings once the rankings are solidified for this week.
Mhm.
Number 11, Georgia beats number 6, Tennessee, 31-17. So that is an upset. Um, a huge, well, not a huge upset, but Florida, unranked Florida beat LSU 27-16. I hopefully LSU fans, I hope you guys are okay because yeah, I really don't know. Number 3 UT beat Arkansas 20-10, and then Stanford, unranked Stanford, beat Louisville 38-35. And those are the notable games of this week.
All right, that's super interesting. LSU has. I hate to tell you, Louisiana fans, that state is always looks a mess when it comes to games that they should have won and overly celebrating prematurely and ending up still losing. They should have beat the dog shit out
I
of
hope you guys are
Florida.
okay because yeah, I really don't know about that, but and I saw that you were at the SMU game. That was honestly low key a close call. It was
It was
not.
my first I mean, they won by what, 10 points, but it was my first SMU game, and I am alumni, but that was my first game ever going to, as I attended SMU during COVID, and I just did not care for the team.
Damn.
Um, it was like a high school game.
Why are you saying that?
The atmosphere
Oh
of the game
yeah.
that I went to was like a high school game. You know, our high school football stadium is the same size as SMU stadium.
So they have gotten a lot. SMU has gotten a lot of critiques about the fan atmosphere.
It sucks. It's terrible.
I went during homecoming, and the fan atmosphere was a little underwhelming for sure.
It was for me, it was very underwhelming. Just going to all these like big schools and these big games, etc. I mean, SMU is ranked like what are they ranked? Like 12,
We're
11,
ranked 14th right now.
14th. Okay, close enough. And as of right now, are they leading the ACC?
We are.
So they would, even though they're ranked number 14, they would still make it into the playoffs.
Well,
But
when they win the ACC championship.
yeah, yeah. If they still have it's still very likely that they could win
For sure.
the ACC championship and then go into the playoff bracket. And so to just see empty seats all over the stadium and to see everybody, like I came in at the second quarter and people were already leaving the game. It was just like
Where
it
y'all
wasn't
going?
exciting. It
Yeah.
wasn't fun. I mean, no one's wearing the school colors. It was a fashion show. The girls looked a mess though.
Jeez.
It
Jeez.
didn't look like people were going to a football game. When I say they looked a mess, like they looked nice, but it wasn't appropriate for the setting. It's like it's a football game. And you know how the other schools, they might put on cowboy boots and stuff. They had on full on homecoming dresses. Like
Yeah.
this is
That's
not a dress to be sitting outside in. This is a
a
dress to be
dress.
like at a dance or go to, like they were wearing
So
cocktail dresses
so
at a football game.
I guess my question is, you are critiquing the SMU game experience. It sounds
Yeah,
like how you're critiquing it is in comparison to universities with a different culture.
Well, yeah, but I
Can
think that
it
the
can it be
issue
its
with
own
SMU
culture?
is that could be SMU's culture, but the culture sucks, so change it. But the
Maybe
issue that I think SMU is having is because they've had so much coaching turnover and so much turnover in the front office with administration and staff, the front office staff, that they're still trying to find their culture,
they're cold.
but I want them to find it faster. And according to the new 12-team playoff bracket structure,
We
normally
might have a home
teams on the
game.
right, well, it's like normally teams that would not normally rise to, I don't want to say fame, but rise to like being good. Teams that normally rise to being good this fast. One. And so they haven't had time to really figure out what their culture is.
That's
I
what I
mean,
would say.
there were no chants from the crowd. There were no chants from the student section. The student section stood all the time, but they weren't cheering anything. There, I think the SMU needs to get with freshman recruitment and figure out some chants for the school. Figure out
Definitely
some
needs to
game
be
day
some stuff.
traditions.
They definitely
Yeah,
they definitely need some better game day traditions.
there's no
I'm a
game
little
day
biased.
culture.
I'm a little biased, but I can throw in a little bit of Fox. So SMU compared to other universities, their graduate program overpowers in population compared to their undergraduate program. So
Yes.
majority of students that go to SMU are going there to get a job, right?
Yeah.
And
In the graduate
and
program,
so I
yeah, but
definitely think
SMU
that
is the size of our high school.
for sure, I think that that 100% reflects, the fan experience with SMU. But yes, they can add a little bit more twang to the vibes for show for show.
Yeah. So never mind about that. But I was like, oh, this will be my last game for a while.
I
I'm
don't
not
want
going
to
back.
this be my last game for a while. All right, what are games for this coming up week or next week? Whatever, however
Okay,
you say
so
it.
games to look forward to in the next week of college football. We have number 5, Indiana, and these are not the updated rankings, as we all know. Well, we might not know. The playoff structure only goes off of college football playoffs rankings. So we are no longer paying attention to ESPN's rankings or the AP polls rankings. Um, and those are updated every Tuesday at 7 o'clock p.m. standard time. So these are not updated because we are filming on a Sunday. So by the time that this episode is released,
There'll be
there
new
will be some
rankings.
there will be some new rankings. But anyways, number 5 Indiana versus number 2 Ohio State. They play next
That should be a
week.
good game.
That shit, I don't know. Ohio State should dog the shit out of Indiana. Indiana should not even be breaking top 15. Anyways, number 11 Ole Miss versus Florida. The way Florida play LSU, that might be a good game. Number 24, Army versus Notre Dame. Notre Dame should be blowing out
Nah, Notre
Army.
Dame is gonna karate chop on me.
Yeah. Number 23, Mississippi State versus Mizzou. Um, Neither one of those teams is making it to the playoff bracket unless everybody in the SEC
Just
loses
apples.
every game. Yeah. So that's not happening. So with these upcoming games, so we have 4 decent games to look out for, but these should all still be kind of blowouts. Um, if we are going off of the college football ranking, not ignore the college football rankings. Like we said, we have a problem in the SEC. And the problem in the SEC is that the SEC, anybody in the ACC could come to the SEC and they would get blown out.
I don't know.
Which one? Miami? If Miami played Georgia, they would get blown out. If Miami played LSU, they would get blown out.
We
They
we
might not
don't
get
know.
blown out, but
Mm.
LSU, let me not use LSU because they're
But
inconsistent.
they're in the SEC.
But they're in the SEC. So what we have here, as we've mentioned on many, many episodes, is that the SEC is cannibalizing each other. And so
They are.
you could very well see a team with 3 losses be in the college football playoff bracket because of the caliber of the teams that they lost to. It's like if you lost the number 1, 2, and 3 ranked team, like you might rightfully be the number 4 ranked team. You should still make it in.
I
So in
think
the SEC, you should see, I think, rightfully so, Bama should make it in. And I know
which
we
they
always talk
are.
about that Bama bias. Bama does have a bias, but I mean, everybody in the SEC is playing a tough ass schedule. So you have Alabama, Georgia, Tennessee, Texas, and then give or take Texas A&M should make it into that top 12. Are they going to do that? No, because essentially if you take the conference championship of 5 different conferences, that leaves 7 spots for other teams. And if 4 of those 7 spots are taken by SEC teams, everybody across the world is going to cry. And it's like, shut up. We're saving you guys the embarrassment.
Well, I
You
think
don't
that
belong here.
I think that for one, it's very clear that, rankings have changed. Teams who are not traditionally as good, these games are getting closer and closer. We really
Mhm.
don't know who's going to come out on top week by week. And I think that because of this, the landscape of college football is changing, is getting a little bit more competitive. Hopefully, we'll start to see different types of matchups going forward. Just how, like
Yeah,
SMU, one of the things that SMU gets criticism for is like, okay, who have they played? And so, like, in 2026 or something like that, SMU will be playing Notre Dame. They
I
need to play
yeah.
more. They need to mix up the matchups.
I do wanna go on record for saying that I think that an injured Oklahoma with no receivers, I think that an injured Oklahoma with no receivers would still beat SMU.
I love that you are able to think. We cannot do anything about hypotheticals. Let's move forward. Oklahoma does not have room on my podcast. They're not ranked. Thanks. Like Jesus Christ, you're
Oh
wasting
my
my
gosh.
unlimited minutes.
But the point that I'm trying to prove
My
is
my
that
unlimited
there
minutes
are
are wasted
teams shut up, that there are so many teams where we won't get direct matchups to, and it's like,
because
yeah, it's like, can number 11 Ole Miss playing number 14 SMU, I think Ole Miss will blow SMU out, and we won't see that game until the playoff structure. And so I think that when it gets to the playoff structure, I think that first round of playoffs, we're going to see some major blowouts when we see those SEC teams play non-SEC teams. So then for next year, it's like, okay, everyone shut up about the crime.
let's
The first
see.
year, the SEC proved that they were playing at a much higher level than the other conferences. And we can't firmly say that until we see the playoffs. But I think that by letting other more SEC teams in and acknowledging that they play at a higher caliber, it's going to get people to be quiet and to save themselves some embarrassment by saying, "You should have put us in," like that year when UFC, or no,
Florida's.
UCF,
I thought it was
when
Florida's.
when the University of Central Florida, how they in their stadium, they have a banner as a national championship, their self-proclaimed national championships, because they said they should have been in
Yeah.
the 4-team playoff bracket. And it's like, UCF,
Stop it.
y'all playing against Bama, that the playoff committee saved y'all the biggest
An
embarrassment of
embarrassment.
y'all's career, because y'all shouldn't have been in there playing with Bama, Georgia, Oklahoma, and I forgot who the other team was. But it's just like they saved y'all some embarrassment. If y'all gonna call y'all self-proclaimed national champions, like, do so. But please understand that no one outside of that institution is acknowledging that bullshit.
The main thing that you're saying that I do agree with is the cannibalization of the SEC, like how Alabama beat Georgia, Tennessee beat Alabama, but Georgia beat Tennessee. And it's like they're just kind of beating on each other. And then unfortunately, due to these losses, is going to be mirrored or reflected within the rankings. And some people will miss out, but we will see because we don't know. I don't think that we're also giving enough credit to the teams who have gotten better. SMU last year went against Boston College in a bowl game and lost. SMU
Mhm.
beat Boston College yesterday. So it's like we're only kind of getting credit for the teams who are traditionally good, who are not good this year, and we're not giving credit for teams who are solidly good. And I get it. Like a team who shouldn't even be in conversation too much is Boise State. I can't wait.
Why is
I
Boise
can't
State in this
wait.
combo?
I
Oh my
can't
god.
wait to watch them lose. So,
It's ridiculous. I'm like, really?
like, come
Like,
on.
y'all have a great field, a blue field. Other than that, why the fuck are we discussing this team? They shouldn't be
Congratulations with the
ranked as
blue.
high as they are. They have not beat anybody
They
big. It's
haven't.
just
They've just
like,
been going
oh my
against
gosh.
Mountain West. But nonetheless, let's kind of go on. You with that
Okay.
being said, you wanted to explain a little bit more about the um playoff bracket.
Yeah. So like we mentioned before, the playoff bracket is very specific this year. So even though you could very well see a team that is ranked 22 make their way into like the final rankings, the final week of rankings, which I think is like week 14 or 13 of college football, you could see a team that's ranked. It's possible for a team that's ranked number 22 to still make it into the top 12 team bracket because of the way that it's structured. So what happens is teams rankings 1 through 5 are not the top 5 highest ranked teams. It's the highest ranked conference champion. So if you're not a conference champion, you're not even eligible to be ranked 1 through 5. So, an example of this is if you are Alabama and you are not the conference champion, say Georgia's the conference champion, even though Bama was ranked ranked higher than Georgia, it's like you're not the conference champion. So you won't
Yeah.
even be
You won't
ranked
even be
top 5.
there.
The highest slot you can come in at is number 6. Okay. So that's why if the next highest conference champion is ranked 22, say that, I don't know, say UCF. No, what? No, not UC. It can't be UCF. Say Boise State. Say Boise State is ranked 21. If they're the conference champion and they're the next highest ranked conference champion after Big 12, SEC, ACC, and Big 10, they get in at 22.
There has to
So,
be someone from Boise State on the college football ranking committee because
well, there's essentially 2 people from every school on the committee. They do it by vote. So usually, typically, the people that are on the board that send in a vote are the athletic directors and head coaches.
hmm,
So
okay.
you essentially have somebody from every school represented, but the biases are kind of canceled out because you have to vote on so many other teams.
Okay. I guess. Well, we'll see. It's all about to play out.
Mhm.
And I'm still for the 12 bracket play versus
I
like
am
what was it,
too.
the top 4. And so
Yeah.
it will be pretty exciting and much
It'll make
more
it
to
it'll make it more accurate.
yeah. It will make
And
it more
with that,
accurate.
we get games, and for the first time ever, we will have playoff games at people's home campuses.
And then on top of it, just if there wasn't a 12-man bracket, go ahead and take out 45% of our conversations in this whole podcast.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's nothing to talk
Yeah.
about.
Because this year, if it was only a 4-team playoff bracket,
The same teams. Well, not
it will
really,
be
but kinda.
Georgia, it will
It
be,
would it be
it will be
Georgia
no,
or
it will be Ohio
Ohio,
State, it'd be Oregon,
Texas,
Texas,
Penn State?
and then one of the 3, Georgia, Tennessee, or Bama. It'd be one of those 3
Yeah. Yeah, yeah,
without the
yeah.
12-team bracket. So
Crazy.
there's that.
Um,
But anyways, moving on. What we got up next?
so let's talk about Deion Sanders and all of these discussions on and conversations of him potentially being, scouted by Florida State and maybe potentially being scouted by America's team, the Dallas Cowboys. But let me take a step back.
Okay.
I want to talk about the Deion Sanders effect because I feel like this man has too many haters. He was a high school football coach. Accolade in high school football. First off, I think he started Pee Wee football. He was coaching his son Pee Wee football, then went to he was a high school football coach, made an impact, then went to Jackson State University, an
Mhm.
FCS school. For Deion Sanders, they were 4-8. When Deion Sanders arrives after 2 seasons, they were 11-2. And then he took his talents to Colorado. In 2022, before Deion Sanders, Colorado was 1-11. And
Mhm.
wasn't nobody looking at Colorado.
At all.
After 2 seasons, they are now 8-2, and everyone says,
I
the
think
Big
are they
12
8
is
and 2? Are they 8 and 2 or 8 and 3?
I can fact check that right now, but I'm pretty sure they are 8-2. Um,
And they're in the Big 12 now.
they're in the Big 12. They're ranked 18th. So a college football program who was 1-11, now they're 8-2, and they're in a quote unquote better conference.
Yeah.
Um, and he clearly has a crazy impact on his teams. And like, what do you think about that?
Okay, that was a loaded question. What do I think about
I
which
had to
part?
I know. I had to add in all the facts. I had to add in all the facts. I guess
So,
first
I'm
and
gonna speak about the
foremost,
career. Imma speak about the
yeah.
career. So, I think that it is he doesn't get enough recognition in terms of, how he turned a program around so quickly. I mean, usually, if things go the way that you want them to, they don't always happen this way, but, when a head coach is hired, you wanna give them 3 or 4 years to adjust to the program. You gotta weed out, you gotta let everybody age out and get rid of the previous coaches' um, their recruits so you can use your recruits that you personally recruited. Deion Sanders has turned the program around in 2 seasons. He made major I mean, he made enhancements and improvements the first year he was there. You know, the team was 11-1, and then the second season, they were like, what, 4-8? Something like that, like, or so there was already an improvement, and then this
Or where
year,
did it
they are
improvement?
already is like 8-2 or 8-3, whatever it is. So, I don't think that he gets enough recognition for that because that's very difficult. Um,
I think he just gets critiques like, "Oh, well, the Big 12 is not that good."
yeah,
Oh, well,
he gets more critiques and criticisms, uh, more than he gets, like, acknowledgement as to, like, how far he's brought the program that he's with. I think that when he left Jackson State and came to Colorado, it was like, "Okay, this is good." I personally think that he should stay at Colorado
interesting.
to fully show, like, how good he is instead of jumping from a program, because now that would make him at Jackson State for what, 2, 3 years, and or I wanna say 2 years, and
Yeah,
then Colorado 2 years. He's not being able
show that he can do
to show
longevity.
that he can, even that, like, he's not able to show that he can fully go through everything and finish because we haven't seen him finish yet. Like, finish, and when I say finish, I mean, like, show, like, this is a successful team, we won, blah, 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 because he's leaving before he has the time to he's turning the program around, but I feel like he's leaving prematurely. I think that the move from Jackson State to Colorado was a good move, but I think that he should stay at Colorado for a while and prove, like, I can finish strong and get us to a playoff because they can still potentially make it to a playoff if they win the
The
championship for
Big
The
12
Big 12 championship, which is not a long shot for them.
is not a long shot. They can easily be able to go against BYU in the championship in the Big 12 championship. I
Yeah.
do see where you're coming from. I just feel like him jumping ship from team to team is the name of the game. These coaches, they turn programs around. I proved I can turn a program around. I want more dollars. Oh, okay, I proved
Well,
I can turn a program around. I'm gonna go to the next big thing. That's the
I
name
think
of the
that that's the
game.
game. I think that that's the name of the game for white men. I don't think that's the name of the game for Deion Sanders being a black man. We know that African Americans often are more criticized. He is in a world where the average coach is a white man, so his peers are white men. And so I think that what's going to happen, this is why specifically, if he's going to leave, I want him to leave to go to Florida State and not the professionals. Because what's going to happen is if he goes to the Cowboys, it's like, oh, yeah, he played for the Cowboys too. Like, it's a full circle moment. But I don't think him and Jerry Jones would
Would
work well
mesh.
together, as most people do not mesh well with Jerry Jones. The way that Jerry Jones' management style is very much so my way or the highway. It's not that nobody's bigger than a program. It's like no one's bigger than me fucking Jerry Jones. So I don't think that Jerry Jones and his ego would
Will
mesh
mesh.
well with Deion Sanders and his ego because a lot of times people, when they leave the Cowboys, they say, you know, I wasn't, not only that they weren't getting along with Jerry Jones was like, well, I have this vision. And the coaches are like, well, I have this vision. And they're opposite. And Jerry Jones
Of the
like, well, if you don't,
visions.
if you don't see if you don't want to do things my way, then you're gonna be out of here. But in return, people are like, Jerry Jones, your way hasn't worked since 1996. So let's
Yeah.
switch it up and try something different. So that's why I don't want Deion Sanders going to the Cowboys because him being the coach, no matter how the Cowboys play, as in all the other coaches that have coached with the Cowboys,
It hasn't been successful.
the coach is always blamed for shit that's ultimately Jerry Jones' decision. Jerry Jones chooses who's drafted, not the fucking coach. The coach puts in a recommendation. I need a running back. I need a blah, blah, blah. Jerry Jones is like, no, fuck that. I want this person.
Yeah. I mean, we'll see. Right now, they are all talks, and we will see if Deion Sanders stays. I mean, Shador Sanders, his son, is getting drafted this coming up year, so we'll see if that has
And
any
I
effect
don't want
on.
him coaching his sons anymore. I don't want him coaching his sons no more.
You don't
It
want a
was
father
cute.
coaching his son?
Nope, it was cute and it was cool, but I think that both of their careers could excel if they
Separate.
weren't yeah, if they were separated.
For
Like,
sure, for
whenever
sure.
we're in school growing up, they keep the twins in the same classroom together
Yeah.
because of the emotional separation. But they won't separate twins in a classroom until like high school, junior high, high school. And so I think that that has that same effect. I would like to see them operating separately. Give Shador a chance to prove like I wasn't just good because my dad was playing me. I wasn't getting playtime only because my dad was the coach. let him be under somebody else's reign
And we'll see.
so he can further prove himself, and then Deion Sanders can further prove himself as well. I think they would both grow from being separated. I don't want them
And
on the
we'll
same team.
see. And talking about father-son, so we all know the news that Kiyan Anthony has committed to Syracuse. Um,
Yes. Great transition, by the way.
right? I'm getting better at this. We
That was
all
good.
see that Kiyan Anthony has transition. I mean, that's a transition. Has committed to Syracuse, and I am 100% for that. I am very excited to see how he is in the NCAA and his gameplay and everything like that. And I think it even makes him better that he's just my opinion, that he's not a junior. Like he's Cayenne and we'll just see.
Not like you mean like not
Like
Carmelo
Brian,
Anthony Jr.?
yeah. You know it's funny. So they said I watched the episode when he committed to Syracuse, and Lala specifically said they were intentional on not naming him Carmelo because Carmelo's name is Carmelo Cayenne Anthony, so his name is Cayenne Carmelo Anthony.
Carmelo Anthony. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So kudos to him. I am excited to see how his game develops and everything like that.
Yeah, I like to see people, you know, go out into the world without such a heavy influence on their parents when it comes to sports. So like we just mentioned with Deion Sanders and Shador. I
Yeah.
feel the same way about Carmelo Anthony and Cayenne. And I know people are gonna be like, well, Carmelo was never his coach. Listen, when you're in high school, the coaches love to be like, this is my program. Your
Yeah.
parents can't come to the practice because I don't care who your parents are. Trust me when I say, when niggas found out that Carmelo Anthony was someone's dad, bring your daddy to the practice. Let's get his insight. He was still being heavily coached,
Oh,
and
easily.
the team was still being heavily influenced by his father because it's like, okay, no matter what high school coach I am, there's a parent that has actual like more expertise than me. He's an Olympic player, an Olympic gold medalist, and he's an NBA veteran and legend. So I do think that Carmelo was still heavily influencing Cayenne's like high school team and AAU team, select teams, etc. So I am excited to see him because I don't think Carmelo will have that much of an influence when it comes to college.
You're saying influence in what work? Oh, like PT,
Inf-
like
no influence on the team because if Carmelo Anthony's the dad and he's sitting in the stands, he's like he could probably go up to the coach on the bench at halftime and be like, hey, blah blah blah, you need to put so and so. He can put his input on the game and how the team is playing. He can't do that shit in college. He can, but I think
yeah,
it'd be more frowned upon. So,
yeah. We'll see. I'm excited for him. I heard he can ball. He's killing it on the high school level. Let's see how
yeah,
that
and
works for him.
he is currently ranked the number 1 high school player for the class of 2025. So, and he did that on his own. He's a McDonald All-American.
He
So,
did it on his own. Now let's transition into the WNBA. So the WNBA is currently experiencing expansion, and the WNBA has not gone through this since 2008. What is that? 16 years?
okay.
So, as we all know, well, and as we have previously discussed, there's a new WNBA team in the Bay called the Golden State Valkyries. And it is basically going to create a Hunger Games type vibe in the WNBA. So currently the WNBA there's 12 teams and each team can protect 6 players. They are called the protected players. And
Straight to the
so
point. Okay.
right, and so the Golden State Valkyries can choose 1 player from any of the unprotected players within the 12 teams. They also can choose an unrestricted player, which means a player in free agency or a player that is getting drafted. So that is going to shake up a lot of things. Another thing that teams can do is they can use their trading rights to maybe secure additional players on their team. Think about the New York Liberty who just won the championship. They probably going to try to run it back. Maybe they want to protect even more players. And so I am excited to see, of course, the excellence of women's sports, specifically women's basketball. And I'm excited to see how this plays out. I think Golden State or the Bay is a great place to have a team. There's dollars there, there's population there. And I'm excited to see how it shakes out for real.
I'm actually glad that you walked us through how a new team is introduced in a space and like
Yeah.
what that process is because a lot of us had no clue or
It
even
was
thought
like
about
that.
like how do y'all just make a new team? It's just like, okay, we're gonna draw the
Go over
hat.
there.
Y'all ain't going over there. Like what? Yeah, okay, yeah, I'm glad you explained that because I too did not know about that. Okay. So
Yeah.
that's
And
interesting.
so I'm
Go ahead.
I'm really excited, as you know, like Paige Buckner is
Buckers.
I'm so sorry. Paige Bucker is, this is her last year and she's killing it at UConn right now. And so
Mhm.
I don't know how it's gonna go because right now they say that there is a almost a 50% chance like that the Dallas Wings can get Paige, or there's a high percent chance that the LA Sparks can get Paige, or can the Golden State Valkyries get paid? So we'll see how it all shakes up. And there are some notable players that are free agents right now. And so I think that the league is only going to get spicier and spicier. And then also in 2028, the WNBA has added Canada. And so we're going to continue to see the WNBA expand, and I am excited. There's also a lot of pro athletes, not a lot, but a good number of pro athletes who are super interested in investing in the WNBA, like Jason Tatum. He is looking to want to invest in the WNBA team in his hometown of St. Louis. Patrick Mahomes and his wife are looking to, or they are very interested in starting a WNBA team in Kansas. Um, and some other notable players. I mean, Tom Brady is a stakeholder for the Las Vegas Aces. So there's been a lot of attention into the growth of women's basketball. Sometimes I feel like it's more on a business front versus,
I mean,
the
everything has to have a bottom line, everything has to make sense. So that I never mm, I never thought that it was strictly just an interest. It's still when you're investing millions and tens of millions, it still has to be a bottom line and make business sense.
yeah, no, for sure. And I get it. I probably shouldn't even add any emotion into the idea of the WNBA expanding. Boom, it's getting better, cool. Of course, it's a business. It gotta make sense regardless. I'm not gonna invest in a women's sport just because y'all women. It gotta make me money.
Yeah.
So
So I do have a question for you. Do you think um the where do you think that the most interest lies in? Women's professional basketball, or it's still more interest in college basketball? Now that,
re-
the 2 most famous players ever in college women's
are in the
college
pros.
basketball are in the pros, do we think that we're gonna see the same amount of interest in women's collegiate basketball this year?
So that's a really good question. I remember last season on our podcast, we put in a hypothetical on like, would the attention of college women's basketball transfer to to the WNBA?
Yeah.
I do think that the WNBA will receive more attention than women's college basketball. I think women's college basketball will have its shine during March Madness. March Madness, it will
Okay.
have its shine. That will be the cream, like that will be its prime time, right? But as
Yeah.
far as the WNBA, we are seeing ridiculous growth in revenue and numbers and attendance. We're seeing sold out games and we're seeing consistency with that. Look, I tried to be an early ticket purchaser for a WNBA team. I mean, for the Dallas
Yeah.
Wings. And they told me
Sold out.
350. They told me 350 for a game. I'm like, "Girl,
Wait, Nicole, but if we wanna pay the women more, we're like, "Oh my gosh, they're only making 60K." If we
look."
wanna pay them more, we as the fans have to pay more.
And you're right. I got caught off guard. I have historically been able to pay $70, and also the economy is not popping. So, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go. I've been to a couple of games this year. But was I caught off guard? Yes, I was caught off guard.
Okay, that's fair.
I was just caught off guard. This is what you prayed for. Here we are.
That's why I think that, like, the college games will still receive a lot of interest. I think that Iowa will still pack out their stadium.
Yo,
Uh,
because that's the only thing in Iowa.
Yeah, that
Only
helps.
thing in that's the only thing in Iowa. I think that
But the
so
college games are still a lot cheaper. You go to a college game for $8, and it's
for
like,
sure.
okay, let me just bring my daughters to
My
something,
family.
a fun little Tuesday night. Like, okay, game starts at 6. Let's go. We all pay $50 for the whole team to get in. The damn hot dog might be more expensive than the damn game ticket.
Oh, but it's true.
No, that's what happened yesterday at SMU. When I went to SMU, my ticket was $6. The processing fee for the ticket was $7.12, and a twisted tea that I bought was $12.
See.
Like,
Yeah.
what?
I think that what we'll see is there's gonna be a growth in both women's college basketball and the WNBA. But I think the WNBA, the attendance will be more consistent and
Mhm.
it will grow. And we're seeing games being sold out, and that is now becoming more of a regular.
Yeah.
When the with these stars, like, for example, even, like, Paige Bucker's coming into the league, next year, I think, like, that will obviously transcend into the pros, obviously, and so,
Yeah,
like,
because
it will.
she's a great personality. I told you, I said, "That's my
You
fave." That's my fave. I love me some Paige. Like, she's just fun on TikTok. Like, she just seems like very like well-grounded, level-headed. And she won me over at the ESPYs
Yeah, when
when
she had that
she
speech.
that ode to black women
Yeah.
and acknowledged that black women go through a lot more and are receiving higher levels of criticism. I said, "Well, bitch, you got my attention. You won
My
me
vote,
over. You got
but
my vote."
I ain't but again, stand up for nobody except
What? Well, you went out on my speaker. You say you what?
I said, but again, I'm not standing up for no other class except me. I appreciate her stands, but I ain't standing up for nobody. Just wanna let you.
I think that she did what she was supposed to do as an
She
ally, because
did, she did.
if you think about any precedents that we've had in the US when black people are fighting for their rights, when women are fighting for their rights, women would not have gotten rights if it wasn't for the help of men, because we needed somebody from the winning population to help bring up the other people that wanted the more rights. Black people would not have gotten the rights that we got without the help of white people.
It is just what it is.
We needed allies, and so I think that Paige is acting she's doing what an ally is supposed to do, a true ally is supposed to do. So I appreciate that, and she won me over with that one, so shout out to
Yeah.
Paige.
So shout out to Paige. And that's really all I have for you. Or
Okay.
unless you got a little bit more season to add to the dish.
Nope, no, 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 got it all. That is everything from my end. We'll see everybody later. So, I am Jarden,
I'm Nicole.
and you are tuned into the Playbook Diaries podcast. We will see you guys next week.
Disney Channel. Peace.